A big congratulations to everyone who took the September LSAT and got your scores back today. I hope that you crushed it. However, I got many reports from test takers who got their scores back earlier today and were surprised to find their scores had dropped 10, 20 points or more from their practice tests, even though they felt like the test itself went fine. They were surprised, they were shocked by those results. Now, I've been teaching the LSAT for almost 20 years now. I personally improved my LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. And I'm no longer surprised when students post on forums and groups saying my score dropped significantly from my practice tests. And so if you're looking at these results, it doesn't necessarily mean anything out of the ordinary. It does mean that LSAC made some major screw up because keep in mind, there is a selection bias in those who post. Those who score right on target from their practice tests aren't likely to make a whole lot of noise about it because things went as expected. You're likely to hear the outliers for whom the test went amazingly and those for whom the test went terribly. Now, there are a lot of conspiracy theories going around that LSAT is making the new LSAT harder to balance things out now relative to those who took the previous format of the LSAT with logic games, which was maybe easier because logic games is easier to perfect. If you take an extra moment to think about this, you'll realize just how absurd it is. The old format of the LSAT and the new format of the LSAT are overall, on average, relatively comparable. It is not obvious, it is not clear necessarily that one format is easier or harder than another. Obviously, on an individual level, some people will like the version of the LSAT with the logic games, and some will like the version of the LSAT without the logic games, but no one format is easier or harder than another overall in aggregate. Now, there's an additional consideration, though, that there's been a lot of LSAT score inflation over the past few years due to the previous temporary LSAT flex format, as well as a significant increase in the incidence of LSAC granting accommodations for things like extra time. These considerations combined have resulted in significant increases in LSAT score medians and big percentile changes on the LSAT. For example, for LSAT medians, all of the T14 law schools now have LSAT score medians of 170 or above. On the percentile front, it used to be that scoring a 173 on the LSAT put you in the 99th percentile. Now you've got to get a 175 to be in the 99th percentile. So I could see the argument being here that LSAC is somehow making the curve harder to account for this rise in LSAT medians, the rise in LSAT percentiles. And if this is in fact the case, it wouldn't seem quite fair to me for LSAC to make such a radical change over such a short period of time. If they're going to make any changes, they should do them more gradually and subtly over a much longer period of time. But bottom line, of course, it is what it is. If you are retaking the LSAT in October, November, or beyond, you want to be ready for anything LSAC might throw your way. You want to be drilling hard LSAT questions, more questions involving formal logic, numbers and percentages to account for the potential increase in the occurrence of these questions on new LSATs going forward. If you are taking the LSAT in October, November, January, February, or beyond, at LSAT Unplugged, we will create for you a personalized day-by-day LSAT study plan to drill through the areas that need the most work going forward. Because if you want to get a different result next time around, you've got to prep differently. If there's a resource you were considering, but you didn't pursue it, now is the time. And the best way to prep for the LSAT, especially if you're on a short timeline for October, November, or beyond, is going to be one-on-one LSAT coaching, personalized to exactly what you need on your schedule. You can check out the links below to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And if you are absolutely certain that LSAC made some major screw up on your LSAT score report, you can pursue an LSAT score audit for $150 to double check your scores. If the result after the audit is higher or lower, that new score will stand and you can't audit a second time. Of course, you are highly unlikely to get a change to your score, especially since this is now, of course, an online computerized test. It's not as if you were likely to have misbubbled like you would have maybe on the previous paper LSAT. The audit option is really more of an artifact from that old testing format, but just for peace of mind, in case you think there could have been a tech glitch or something, you might want to pursue that option. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.